Welcome back to the Heber Valley Life Podcast. Today we're joined by Dr. Garrick Peterson, Superintendent of Wasatch School District. As he completes his first school year in this role, Garrick has brought thoughtful and forward-thinking perspective on education in one of Utah's fastest growing communities. Under his leadership, the district continues to evolve, focusing on student-centered learning, strengthening teacher collaboration, and creating opportunities that prepare students not just for college and careers, but for life. For raising the achievements in math and reading to expanding career pathways to partnerships with Mountainland Technical College, there's a lot happening in this school district. Today, we're going to talk about the first year, shifting focus in education, and what holds the future for students, families, and the broader Wasatch community. So welcome, Garrett.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So let's introduce yourself first. We're going to
Okay.
start there. And I've had an opportunity to kind of interact with you and your family on different occasions. But tell us where you grew up and how you arrived here in Heber Valley.
Great. So I am a small town boy. I grew up in Montclair, Idaho, so just on the north side of Bear Lake. I loved it there. Loved the small town lifestyle. And then when I finished there, I went to Rick's College back when there was a Rick's College. Served an LDS mission in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. After Rick's College, went to BYU. I did not get married at BYU, and they did not give me my tuition back. But once I was done there, I went to work teaching at Orem High School. Loved Orem High School. It was a great place to be. I got into administration. That's not something I sought out. It was something that kind of saw me. I was asked to go into administration. Eventually became the principal of Lakehurst Junior High School, where I was there for a decade. Worked for several superintendents down in the Alpine School District after that. And then got the opportunity to come up here. We wanted to kind of get me and my wife. We've got two kids now, a junior and a freshman, soon to be a senior and a sophomore, as we're 2 weeks away
Right.
from ending the school year. And my wife, Dicey, we were looking to get to kind of a smaller community. This isn't real small like where I grew up, more like where my wife grew up, but still smaller than the rest of the Wasatch Front. So we were able to come up here 7 years ago. I go to work for the district, and it's been great. So
And you're also an avid baseball fan.
I am, yeah, I did. I played college baseball, and I actually just went to my dad's 80th birthday. Um, was recently, and we drove over. He's a big Atlanta Braves fan, and we drove over to Colorado to watch the Braves series last weekend. So still,
Rockies and the Braves are my dad's two favorites as well. Well, that is fantastic. I know you were sought after and kind of recruited to come. You worked in the Alpine School District and did a lot of good things there. And Wasatch had their eye on you because of the changes that you made at Alpine. And I know one of them specifically was the academic importance that you placed on education. And oftentimes there's a lot of extracurriculars that happen in a district, but they really wanted to bring you up because your interests, your background in test scores and focusing on math and English. I want to start there because so often we get caught up with all the other stuff. And yet school districts are here for education. And it's been an impressive tide turn in the last 10 years at Wasatch School District. So I want to talk about the achievements that we have seen and the changes that I think you have been a critical part of in raising those math scores and those English results.
yeah. So for me, I mean, I think the big thing for me, it's not just about like a math score or English score. When you kind of give the blessing to a kid of high achievement, it means all the doors are open to them in life. And to me, it's about life. And so, I mean, if you just narrow it down to a test score, well, that's just a day in your life. But if what it represents is like, if I want to go to the university, I can go to the university. If I want to go to a trade school, I can go to trade school. But there are no options closed to me. And if you kind of get that why behind it, the passion behind it, and get people to understand, get people like teachers in our community to realize when they make changes, and they're usually not big changes, just little changes, they can affect the life of another human being. And in our case, it's kids.
Yeah.
And that's why we all get in this business. We're passionate about it. And when you start to realize your little changes actually do affect the lives of kids and open up possibilities for them, those changes just kind of come naturally after that. When I go into a system, whether it was an Alpine or here, it's just kind of invoking that passion and then helping people to find their next little change. I think a lot of times in education, people are looking for the next big change, and it never is.
Yeah.
It's about people finding their next little change, and as adults find their next little change and get a little bit better, then kids find their next little change and get a little bit better, and all of a sudden, you've got a whole lot of kids are having doors open up.
I think it's so interesting. 7 years ago, I was on the Wasatch High School Community Council, and the focus then was ACT scores. And I know hearing you speak in other situations, that has shifted to a more student focused, teacher led with classroom goals that are focused on the students in their classrooms. And I really want to dive into that because I was so impressed when I heard this last year during the Heber Leadership Academy that you're allowing the teachers to set those goals not in July or August as they're preparing for the school year, but actually once they interact with the students, understand the students' needs, and then create the goals for the classroom. Can you dive into that?
Yeah, I mean, everything like we try to set up as far as kind of a model for improvement is based off of teachers setting goals and then everyone else supporting them in achieving those goals. And so if in order for a teacher to really set a goal, um, anybody can do that. But to set a goal that they actually believe in enough to chase it, which causes the changes that we're looking for in our adults, then they actually have to believe it, and which means it has to be very student centered, which just means it can't be number centered. I mean, we do have numbers at the end of our goals, but it's got to be based off of students' faces. I've had them in class. I believe this student can do this. And if I do my job well, I can get this student to achieve at high levels. And if I do my job well and incorporate a couple of other adults, I can actually get this student to learn. And it's kind of thinking through each kid and what their needs are in order for them. The mission of our district is to uh, get students all the knowledge, skills, and dispositions to achieve their personal goal. And I think that's the emphasis point in our mission statement. It's their personal goal. And in an evolving society, evolving workforce, like kids have such varied goals now. I mean, we were talking beforehand just with our own kids, like they have so many more opportunities ahead of them than we do. So as our teachers look at kids and try to keep that student achievement high, so that all possibilities are still open to those kids. Um, Once the teacher recognizes the kids and what they need in order to achieve, they just drive at that, and that usually drives our changes. And then everyone else in the system, once teachers set goals, my job becomes really easy. How do I change time, like give them collaboration time or get them intervention time or whatever they need to achieve that goal?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because you can apply that from preschool through senior year. It's not, okay, these are elementary level. This is my middle school goal. This is my high school. And I really do see that as a fundamental change in education because it's student led and it's giving the teachers those tools and resources to make it happen.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, we've got high achieving and we've got amazing programs. We look at students that are National Honor Society and now Wasatch Caps. And we just honored the 4.0 students that we've got this top 10% that
Yeah.
you basically have to have a 4.0 to be in that club. I want to talk about the students that are often not talked about, and that's the alternative school students. I mentioned earlier that I had a family member graduate last year from alt school. And that graduation was my favorite graduation that I have attended because of the personal relationships that I saw with the teachers and the students. That those teachers knew those students personally, knew their struggles and their challenges. And in spite of all that, were able to get those diplomas. Let's talk about the difference that we're seeing in providing education and meeting those students where they are.
Yeah. That's my passion area too. So you just hit it right on my passion. Like I love taking and working with kids or working with adults who work with kids who maybe the students do need a little extra support um, for whatever reason. And there's varied reasons for that, or need to be looked at a little bit differently, but still have the same dreams and aspirations of every other kid. Uh, the dreams aren't different. The support needed to get them to the dreams might be different. So when you bring a kid to the alternative school, or in our middle school and elementary school, and even on our main campus of our high school, we give kids, when we find that they're struggling to learn or to achieve, we give them additional time and support in some way, or we think through that. That's challenging work, and we don't always get it right. But the effort to get it right is really, really strong, and the alternative school is part of that whole equation. And it is exciting when they achieve things. Um, the excitement from the parents, the excitement from them, because the dreams are the same. Maybe like in my home, we kind of assume the dreams are a given a little bit, but to have to work hard and be supported a little bit extra to realize that you can achieve that with hard work and support from community around you is such a life lesson for all of us. So yeah, I love that. I love the whole situation there. And I mean, that's one of the beliefs you try to get into us as adults is that every kid can learn and every kid can achieve. People uh, aren't inherently the uh, challenge. Some of us just need more support.
Yeah.
And when a community gathers around, I think that's one of the great things about when I came up here, the community involvement. We all need a community. And when we pull together a community together on a cause, we're all better for it.
Yeah.
Almost. And sometimes we just have to pull our community together on behalf of one kid. And if we do that well, we can change that kid's life.
Yeah, and I saw that at the alt school. I also want to talk about this change that I've seen over the district. So I am a 1991 Wasatch High graduate. And
I was a 91 grad.
well, there we go. We've had a lot of experience behind us. It's been interesting to hear in the Wasatch School District, seeing the evolution of immigration. Uh, we're now a net migration in the state of Utah, where we're seeing more people moving from outside of Utah and even other countries. And the school district, I think, was ahead of the community in that realization when Superintendent Terry Shoemaker implemented the dual immersion language program. And I remember actually sitting down with him and talking about some concerns that I had. And my children chose not to do the dual immersion, but I watched so many of their peers because it was early on, uh, meeting those students that were coming in as English as their second language. And the dual immersion program gave them the dignity to learn both in their own language and in English that they were learning. And it was such a kind of a change in the tide for this community to realize that uh, sometimes we're going to have people that arrive that English is not their first language. Currently, there's over 20%, at least at the high school level. I don't know if it's
It's 21% district wide.
right. Right. How has that changed the district's approach in learning when you've got a significant population that is coming in with English as their second language?
Yeah, I mean, it just changes. Like it does make you think. Uh, what you're trying to do is uh, trying not to create two separate communities, but one whole community. So you're trying to, and that's one of the things I love about the DLI program is the DLI program works to help kids who do not speak Spanish in our district to speak Spanish. And that opens up opportunities and uh, access to people around the world. And that's such an exciting possibility for so many of our kids. And it's amazing how every one of our schools do that. That is unheard of.
Yeah.
That every school is a DLI school is literally, I don't think seen anywhere else in the country, except for here in Wasatch. But it also allows kids to come in and learn English, but allows them to learn together.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I love about that and to create one community. everyone's still aimed at the same high level of learning in reading and math, they're learning each other's language, and that's going to benefit them the rest of their life. The kids who don't know English yet being able to learn English. The kids who don't know Spanish yet are able to learn Spanish, and that's going to benefit our community as a whole as well. And I believe our world, as some of our phenomenal youth from this valley are able to go out and have that. I wished I knew Spanish. Like if there's something I could just, my wife knows Spanish, I don't. And I wished I knew Spanish because it just opens you up to more people, and people are amazing wherever you go. So yeah, and then you do think through the different supports that kids need again to achieve their dreams. And so whether it's in the DLI program or not, you're just trying to find ways for kids to access the level of learning they need to again have all those possibilities open up to them so they can be really contributing members of our societies for years.
Right. I want to jump into some numbers. Earlier, we talked about the number of students that are enrolled at Wasatch School District. Can you share kind of where we're at with students enrolled? We talked a little bit earlier about online and how that's factored in. So let's go into some of the specifics.
Yeah, we like a lot of districts. We do have an online program or an outside entity that we bring in. It helps us really provide a really good online program called Wasatch Learning Academy for our K-8 students in the district. And then once they get to the high school, they have access to a lot of different online programs. But I would say the online program, it's really a face-to-face online program for elementary schools is one of the best anywhere. And so that keeps our enrollment up because we incorporate kids from all over the state in that. But as far as permanent students, we sit around the 7,600, 7,500 area in total.
So let's talk about the two schools. I call it the Great Divide. So Wasatch High School, the new building completed in 2009, enrolled students. Now 2026-27 school year, we will open Deer Creek High School. I call it the Great Divide because this community for the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years has known that this is coming. The preparation at the school district level, Principal Kelly and now Principal Judd. What are some things that maybe the people don't see that is happening behind the scenes as we are preparing to open this new school?
And that's a really good question. Um, so when I was in Alpine, that district grew so fast. Like I've been a part of 3 other splits of high schools. This one's different because it's not the splitting of a high school, it's a splitting of a community, and it has a different feel to it. So behind the scenes, it's a lot of conversations about that. I'm not just splitting the high school, but trying to keep the community together and how do we do things together still. And, you have one high school, but you have these friendships in the faculty, and how do you get the faculty back together? Do we get kids back together for dances from time to time? Because these kids have gone to school together for years. And so that's one of the other things that people don't is, yeah, we are splitting it, but we're also trying to, so much of society and so much our schooling is based off relationships. And our kids and our adults, they have these parents that are set by at soccer games forever. Will now be sitting on 2 different sidelines. But those relationships are really real and they're valuable. And so you're thinking through stuff like that. I think also on the split, I think some things that people don't understand is how important it was for our board. Uh, this was even before my time. So I'm going to speak to what I've heard here. That a lot of the reason for the talk about the split and the reason for the split was so that kids have more opportunities, more chances to be connected. Kind of a little bit of a longing for when a lot of kids got to be in a lot of things here at Wasatch when the school was small, and maybe that was being lost, and maybe everyone didn't know your name when you walked through the door because you have 2,600 kids, and it's hard to know everybody's name. So that whole connection thing becomes really valuable. So one of the things is the school splits. We're trying to really put an emphasis. Well, that was one of the main reasons why it split, and we got to make sure to do that really well. We got to make sure that kids are getting more opportunities. And our first 2 examples, you hope in that split that that all plays out the way you want it to. So our first two things that happened, it's already happened. So the split's already started. Student government, student elections took place about a month ago, and we now have twice as many kids that are having that opportunity. They're getting to put that on their resume. They're getting to be part of all those experiences, which those that have been a part of that in their life know that's life altering. It's with you forever. And so those kids are getting that forever experience. And then with our chair program, that's always the first for the next year that tries out. And then you get into some more of the other dance things. But cheer was the first one. And the amount of girls that are going to get to do cheer is phenomenal between the two schools. And again, those experiences can be with you for life. So, but also when you split, you got to make sure within the school that will happen with kind of those extracurricular things that you have an emphasis on connection. So, like, making sure that our ninth graders coming in, we know them better and that we just don't let them fail.
Yeah.
And knowing their faces and knowing the kids who might need additional support. And now we're small enough, we should be able to do that. Those things become really important. In all of that. So those are some behind the scenes conversations. I think one of the things people are surprised about on a high school split is they think we have to hire a whole new faculty. Well, we just split a faculty. The kids just follow, and we do have to hire some specialists. We have to hire a lot more coaches, which we're very close to having that done. I think last time I checked with Justin Kelly, and it's also at Wasatch High School too. I think we have 2 coaches to hire at one school and 1 teacher, and I think we have 1 coach at the other school and 1 teacher. So we're almost set there. But most of the split with the faculty is just they follow the kids.
Yeah, we talked about the cultures that each school will have. And when I had Justin on earlier, he was very interested in creating a lot of uh, feelings and culture and creating traditions from the get go. And I've even seen this on social media where a student that's been at Wasatch has made the decision to go to Deer Creek High School because they want to be the first graduating class. They want to be the first football player, the first basketball, first cheerleader. And, I think there is truly something to that where kids want to have an identity, and high school really is shaping that. But there's also questions like, will Deer Creek do promenade? It's things that are so ingrained in our community as a small-ish town, now very much growing out of that. But those are the questions that people wanna know because it's part of who we are.
Yeah, I don't know how you get rid of promenade. Like, I think that's gonna have to be at both schools, and there might be some things that do go by the wayside. And this one of the things that I watched is Justin is one that would be really big on tradition, and grew up in the valley and knows all the traditions of Wasatch and why those are so and they are so significant. And you do try to create those, but you're creating them from scratch. And so I saw one of the first things that they did is they were having some of the people actually sign the subfloor over so they know that their names are going to be underneath the real floor. So just some things like that to help the kids own it. I do think one of the things you brought up one thing that I found interesting that the board here made the decision to give everyone choice, which is not always the case.
Right.
That they do that. Um, but it goes back to kind of that goal of making sure that our third goal is to make sure that every kid is connected to their school. And in elementary school, that's usually just their individual teacher that they love. And as they get older, it's to a passion area that they have. So if that's again one of the reasons why we split, you got to let people choose the coach that they are connected to, or the teacher that they're connected to, or the program that they're connected to. That becomes really important. And in that equation, I, for one, will have a home with 1 child in both schools.
I think that's so interesting.
It's and I'm thrilled for both of them. But I did notice this in Alpine District too with those splits. When you do get choice, ultimately it's usually friends.
Yeah.
Friendships are the key thing for kids, and wherever their friends are going, that's usually where they want to be.
And I just learned last week that the marching band will be the Heber Valley Marching Band.
Sure.
You have a new marching band instructor at Deer Creek. And I love that they together have decided rather than dividing and have 2 programs that might struggle, let's keep it together.
Yeah.
Mentor the new marching band instructor and continue to compete and participate as one.
Yeah. I think you're going to see that in a few. I've been really impressed so far. Our one of the goals we had going into this is that we were going to be able to split the school with a collaborative culture. In other words, we're going to get the teachers back together who all teach Math 10 and let them talk to each other like they have, because that's how we improve. But I've been really impressed, for instance, like with our athletic coaches, like my son uh, plays soccer, and the new coach, Coach Wheatley, at Wasatch High School, has just been invited by into the practices and everything of Wasatch. Coach Cosper, to Coach Cosper next year will be at Deer Creek.
Kind of the ending of the time.
But they're just doing stuff together, and that's not going to happen in every situation. But I've really been impressed with, um, we wanted it to be done collaboratively and not competitively. And that really does start with the two principals. So Ryan and Justin did a good job with that. And Jim and Justin, they're great friends.
Right.
My guess is there'll be a little comment every now and again, but for the most part, we want this to be a collaborative effort. We want both schools to succeed. And I truly believe that no matter what school that you're going to, they want the other school to be successful as well, unless they probably play each other.
Yeah. I still think the rivals will be there.
Yeah.
And let's hope that the parents can be at good sideline cheers.
Yeah.
They're usually the ones that cause the most contention for not what's happening on the field.
Yeah.
And so that's on us as a community to encourage good sportsmanship. I want to dive a little bit into just Deer Creek High School because there's so much curiosity around that school. You're at the finish line. You've got teams that are going to be needing to practice. So I know that getting the athletic facilities ready was important because summer is a preparation time
Yeah.
for a lot of those fall sports. You've got a lot of construction workers there and trying to get things done. So we're on target for opening at the end of
Yeah,
August.
so I was just over there yesterday, and really you got to get into a mindset to a point. With a high school, high schools don't open up for school the next year, August 15th. They open up June 1st. Like as soon as summer hits, you will have so many programs that need access to things because a high school just never sleeps. It's always moving. There's always stuff going on.
The parking lot at Wasatch High School is always full, and I'm always curious, what is happening tonight?
Something always.
Always.
Yeah. And so, if you get in that mindset, and that's what we've tried to have, contractor who got that contract to understand. So the athletic facilities will be available. Last time I checked, it looks like we'll have access to most of the school. June 1 or shortly thereafter. There's a couple areas. The auditorium will take a little bit longer. The gym floors will take a little bit longer. So like our basketball team, volleyball team, got to use Rocky Mountain Timpanogos a little bit this summer. Yeah, as far as it looks right now, when it comes actually opening date of August 15th, everything should be done. Construction can be delayed from time to time, so you just hope everything keeps going that way. But
And it's been interesting, as you mentioned, school choice and students have the opportunity to choose. And your own household is a divided house. But what's been interesting to me is that the numbers that you're looking at right now are pretty comparable. I talked with Justin a couple of days ago, and he said, about 1,300 at Wasatch, 1,200 at Deer Creek. That could vary. Last year, before Wasatch started, they had 100 students kind of arrive in August. So even though I think the community would be surprised at that, it didn't surprise the district.
no, I mean, I will say I'm surprised at how evenly it's split. Like it is so close to evenly split. It is almost a 50-50 split at this point. You're right. There's some things that could shift that just a little bit. You never know. We usually do get about 100 kids on move in from year to year. We'll have a few kids move out. We'll have kids move in. The other thing that we don't have all the way in right now is we always have a ninth grade. So the people that march up through our system K-8, we usually add about 100 kids to that. When they hit ninth grade, they come in from a charter school or a private school or homeschool kids will access the high school. So where those kids end up, we still don't know. So our ninth grade will probably shift a little bit. But besides that, yeah, it's a incredibly even split. So I think people are excited for different things at different schools and to be a part of it.
Yeah, I was surprised when the Utah High School Athletic Association gave both distinctions of 4A,
Yeah.
and yet they were right. They are going to be very much right in the middle of that classification, and it was the right call back in December.
Yeah.
I was surprised when, because I really had thought that Deer Creek would come in as 3A, but
Yeah.
someone did their homework.
Yeah. We advocated for 3-8 football.
Right.
But besides that, we thought it'd be very, very close to 4-4. And I think there's advantages to having sports wise those classifications. Like when we did the split between Skyridge and Lehigh, we put them in opposite classifications, and that allowed them to be friends, like they weren't competing against each other. But boy, it'll be a great athletic region to just go down into. Most of our region will be in Orem and Provo, so just right through the canyon, and so that will be a nice thing. And we will have to drive out to Uinta, uh, but that'll just be one thing.
Well, and I was just surprised to even hear that Deer Creek High School has already been christened to host the drill team region.
Oh, as I should know that. Yeah.
Maybe that's just hearsay, but and that does happen. You get new schools and people are curious, and
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to host some of those competitions. Let's dive into projections.
Yeah.
Crystal ball. You do a lot of research on what's coming down the road. What is it that is top of mind for you as far as looking forward, not just at population growth, but at just changes in the school district?
Yeah, I mean that question can go a lot of directions. So if you look at like population projections and stuff like that, like I said a little bit, that this is a harder area to predict. I mean, you know that from being on the councils that you serve on and stuff like that. It's harder to predict. It's hard to predict uh, who's going to move into what housing areas. We've noticed that uh, the families that move here more and moving into their second and third home. So we get more middle school and high school movements than we do elementary. So we watch all of those things fairly closely. We feel fairly confident in the projections we see like 5 years out. We're less confident when we go more than 5 years out because we just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen um, out in Center Creek, for instance, like could explode, but it could not explode, and you just don't know those things. But you try to prepare for whatever, and I think a lot of the thought we put in, we do think about what ifs on those kinds of things, and just make sure that we're prepared, so that if or when students come in, that they have a place to go get a great education. As far as others besides projections, education just changes, which is why I believe in the model that we use so much there is like making sure that teachers are collaborating because they're really good at sensing where things are going, better than we would be at a district office and stuff like that. I love the partnerships we have in the community. One of the great surprises, or not surprises, uh, I mean, this first year, one of the things that has really, really stood out to me, and I've watched it and I knew it, is how there's just this community effort on behalf of education. Like you look at all the people that are involved at camps. You look at all the people that you look at MTech coming in. You look at all the people that are involved in the community council, the WPNs, and in our education foundation. And there's this great care for education in this community that is just astounding coming from another district. Not that we didn't have some of that in Alpine, but it's so there's so much involvement here. So if you keep all those entities involved, you usually can stay out on the forefront of things. I think CAPS will always stay out on the forefront of things. I think our work-based learning stuff, one of our goals is to have every kid have a launch experience by the time they leave. So whether it's work-based experience or MTech or university tracked experience, we just try to keep opening up those things. And it's amazing as our society evolves and, the opportunities continue to grow because it's just a little bit more complex, but it's awesome if we can keep meeting those needs. And I think as long as we have all the systems where we'll keep inviting everyone to the table, we'll probably stay fairly with things on that. And you just realize, because it's going to change.
Yeah.
It's just where and when it does that you're looking
I'm so curious. So Midway Elementary is one of the older elementaries. Is there plans for remodel, or I know at one point there was a look at maybe building a new elementary school. Where are we at?
Yeah, there's no plans at this point. That is something the board's always looking at. I mean, you're trying to not only you look at I think the age of that school is somewhere around 60 years. And if you look at the average lifespan of any school, that's about where you're hitting. So you just look at I think one of the priorities of our board right now is to look at the capital projects like that. I think we've all been busy getting the high school split and focusing on that. And I think they'll come back and they'll start addressing and looking at those capital projects like that, and maybe prioritizing that and saying what we need.
Well, and I'm curious about West Campus. West Campus really did save the district when the Wasatch numbers just elevated so quickly and there was a delay in building that second school. What's the future of West Campus, which was my Wasatch Middle School?
Yeah, that's another one of those capital projects where there's the alternative school is still placed at West Campus. Our technology department will still be housed at West Campus. I think going back, and this might even be that before I came, you look at like the infrastructure of that building. It's not the greatest in the world. So it's probably not again a long-term solution. We probably don't want to be in West Campus 34 years from now.
Yeah.
And the longer you delay those projects, when you need to get out of them, the more expensive it gets. So it's just a matter of timing, because eventually that's going to have to happen. And those same conversations will happen with like Midway Elementary and other things like that. And then the board will put together kind of a prioritized list that they're able to go at, and then figure out a way to fund those and the best way to do it in a responsible way.
So great. I want to talk about MTech, Mountainland Technical College.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's right there next to Deer Creek High School. Those programs have been in place through the CTE program, and Jason Watt has done a fantastic job overseeing that. What should parents expect? I know applications, maybe there's a few more days left to apply for MTech for the fall, but both students from Wasatch High School and Deer Creek High School can attend that school. Just give us an overlay of kind of how that relationship works.
Yeah, I mean, this is this is going to be a game changer for so many of our kids to have that facility come in. It's right basically on our campus at Deer Creek. Is right adjacent to the campus. It'll be available to all kids. They're going to bring in, I think, 69s out there touring that the other day. Diesel mechanic, there's electrician. There's so many programs that are coming in there that are so needed. That the way that school is, the state does it has to be in a high need area before they'll bring it in. So there's jobs available today in those areas. So for that to come in and give opportunities for kids, and if you go back to our mission, a lot of that was just facilitated through the hard work of my predecessor, Paul, was really critical. And now I'm working with Clay Christensen, who oversees the state MTech uh, system, working hard to get that one of those on the Wasatch back. So, and that's just not for our kids; it's for Park City kids. It has a whole region,
Summit,
North Gamma, South Summit, Duchesne. Anyone can come to that, and it's also for adults in the community that are looking to upgrade their training so that they can get a better paying job. And so, there's just so many opportunities there. It's so exciting. Again, if you look at all the opportunities that Wasatch, this is something that blew me away when I moved here, through CAPS, through MTech, through the work-based learning program that Derek Bringhurst is. There are so many opportunities outside of what you would say is a traditional education for kids to pursue, again, their personal goal.
Yeah.
And that's our mission. And we'll keep looking for opportunities and ways to create partnerships to make those things happen through the several partners that we have, but we'll keep trying to bring those opportunities into the Valley so that they're more accessible to our kids.
Yeah, and it's just such a great opportunity for students. But I love that the change, as I mentioned when I was on community council, was ACT scores and college readiness. And I love that the shift has become more about life readiness, and whether that means a trade school, just work-based learning, hands-on, or college, you really are preparing students for life.
Yeah.
So I want to end as we wrap this up. As our community grows, many residents are feeling the strain. We see a lot of rising property taxes and increased utility rates, higher overall cost of living. The school district receives the largest portion of property tax revenue in Wasatch County, and education is the top priority. I think this community 30 years ago made that decision and made the investment, and we continue to see that. but some residents are concerned about affordability. How is this school district being mindful of this tax burden, and what steps are being taken to ensure that the taxpayer dollars are being used efficiently?
Yeah, we really have a great board. And this is like as a public servant who works in whether it be in the city or a county or a state, you're trying to do the best you can for the whole and do it in a responsible way. And it's just a constant balancing act. And you're trying to be as responsible as you can, but provide the greatest experiences for as many people as you possibly can. And our experiences are for kids. You get on the city council, it's for your community. And it is a constant balancing act. And you do, I've watched this board be very mindful about the projects they get involved in and the priorities they set. And I have a lot of confidence that the board will continue to do that because I think it's not just here. I think everywhere in the nation, people are feeling the strain with inflation and stuff like that. So I think it's just being mindful of everything and trying to find that balance where you're providing the very best you possibly can for the stewardship you're over, but also being mindful of how it's paid for and being responsible.
Yeah. As we move forward, what are some of the top priorities of Wasatch School District?
To continue, I do love our mission to just keep trying to evolve and staying out in front and getting better at opening up doors for kids. Um, I strongly believe that our greatest resource uh, of this valley or any community is the kids. They're our next generation. We will only be as good as I am blown away constantly about how good kids are. Like they are so much better than I was in every way. They're more capable, they're better people, they're more aware. Like they're just phenomenal. And if we can just, put things in place for them to thrive, and I think we're doing a great job of that now, but you can't kind of rest because things evolve so quickly. You just got to make sure that you're creating those spaces for those kids to do that. And so I would say that's always on my mind is how we continue to get more kids to read. Why? So they can have more life opportunity open up to them. To get kids to learn our language. Why? So they can have more life opportunity. To provide CAPS programs and MTech programs. Just it's all about the kid and that unbelievable resource that we have and kind of stewardship and responsibility to invest in.
Yeah, as you talked about the students, it made me think about the teachers and the administrators. And I mentioned earlier that I happened to run into two of my hero teachers. What is it like to be a teacher or administrator or a staff member here at Wasatch School District?
Oh, um, well, what I would hope, and I do think that being a teacher is like awesome. It's respected. It's valued uh, by the kids, by the community. Um, I always tell teachers when they come on as a district, congratulations, you just chose to be talked about around every dinner table in this community. And you will be talked about around everybody because what you do is so unbelievably important and life changing. And I love like when our foundation comes in and they give awards to teachers because they matter. I love the way our board has prioritized giving raises to our teachers. And that comes back to that balance with our money that come in from taxes. Like we got to help teachers feel valued and they can live in this community, balancing them with the burden of what pays for that, but that they just feel valued, and I think they do. Part of off of our mission statement is our vision statement. Our vision statement is that the key to increased uh, learning for students is increased capacity in adults. And we turn in our whole model, we don't do a lot of professional development where we bring experts in from the outside because we believe in our people and we want our people learning from our people. We believe that's the best way to learn because we value them in front of our kids. We value them in front of each other. We value them as community leaders. And I hope that's what they feel when they come to work here. And I think for the most part, they do.
As we wrap up, I'm again curious. First school year finished. What's the one thing that you're most proud of this year?
Oh, just the um, I don't know if it's proud, but just really satisfied with this constant push to be better. Um, and not in a big way, but we always talk about finding our next little change. What's our next little change? Because enough of those little changes result in big change, and that's really what's led to our increased academic scores. That's really what's led to the evolution of these programs. Is somebody has a dream of doing something a little bit different, and then it starts somewhere. But it all starts with an idea. Um, that, wow, what if I did this different? Or what if I taught this a little bit different, this certain math concept? Okay, let's try it. And we like to give this flexibility of being able to experiment and to dream and to try things that are different. And I'm really satisfied with the culture that has been kept, that people feel the trust to dream that way and to explore that way and not be afraid to fail, because sometimes when you try to teach a concept a different way, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it was the best idea you had. And I'm grateful for community members and parents that give us latitude to do that, kids that give us latitude to do that, to not be our best every single day because we're trying something new. Because when we do find something that really works, it can be life altering. And then our teachers just being willing to.
Garrick, this has been so great. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you thought, oh, I really want to cover this?
And not so much, you've done a great job with the interview. I mean, just for the people out there in the Heber Valley, thank you for, because it's not just teachers and it's this whole community that it is so palpable that education is valued and people want to be involved and they care. And that's felt by us as educators, that the support and the care that the community has as well. So,
Oh, they're under great leadership. So I appreciate your time today. I know the last 2 weeks of school are very busy, but it's clear that the future of education in Wasatch County is closely tied to growth and evolution in this community. But I also have seen the changes and adapting that you have led based on your experience and your knowledge. And it really has shown me that Wasatch is in good hands,
appreciate
and both with our district leaders, our school board members that are really are keen to making sure that Wasatch is providing that balance of good education, understanding kind of that difficult place that our community is in right now with the growth pressures that we're seeing. But it's happening, right?
it is.
New school opening, students have great opportunities, and I agree. I remember that decision that they made, that while our community was growing, the opportunities were important, and every student needed an opportunity to grow. And in that larger school, we were losing students because they didn't feel that they belonged somewhere. And these two schools will now give teenagers an opportunity to find their place. And I think that's so important in our community. So again, thank you for coming on the Hebrew Life podcast. As we wrap up, Rachel Kahler with the Community Alliance for Main Street, I just appreciate having been a lifelong WASP, that there is now an opportunity for the WASP and the River Hawks to be friends.
Yeah.
And but stay connected, stay engaged, learn more, and ask questions. Be curious. And Garrick, I know that you prescribed it out.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much, and we'll listen again. We've got great additional guests coming, and it's always good to just dive in and understand these things face to face.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, everyone.